The pyramids of Egypt do not require speculations concerning its appearance, size, and shape. It is the oldest yet the only surviving of the 7 ancient wonders. Ancient Egyptians built pyramid tombs for their pharaohs and their queens. After a ruler died, his or her body was carefully treated and wrapped to preserve it as a mummy. According to ancient Egyptian belief, the pyramid where the mummy was placed provided a place for the monarch to pass into the afterlife. Most pyramids rose from the desert plates on the west bank of the Nile, behind which the sun set. The Egyptians believed that a dead monarch spirit left the body and traveled through the sky with the sun each day. When the sun set in the west, the royal spirits settled into the pyramid tombs to renew themselves. Around 2630 BC and about 1530 BC, ancient Egyptians built around 90 pyramids. Thieves and robbers plundered and destroyed most of the pyramids. The 3 largest and best preserved of these were built at Giza. It took 20 years for 100,000 slaves to build it. It required 112 men to lift each separate block. The primary burial chamber, or king's chamber, contains the sarcophagus to help Khufu's body, and the walls are adorned with hieroglyphs depicting various aspects of ancient Egyptian history and religion. The smaller queen's chamber lies within the pyramid, while another unfinished secondary burial chamber lies underneath the pyramid. Weight-revealing chambers above the king chamber distributes the weight of the overlying rocks and prevents the king chamber from collapsing. The gallery is a large passageway with a vaulted, corbelled ceiling, descending and ascending passageway connections various chambers to each other and to the outside. Air shafts connect the king's chamber to the outside. They may have been designed as a way for Khufu's spirit to exit the pyramid and rise to the heavens. The entrance was sealed after the pharaoh's body was placed inside. White limestone rocks lined the pyramid exterior, giving it a smooth face. The rocks have eroded away over time, but we know that they exist because the pyramid of Khafre still has some of its peaks. The ancient city of Babylon, which was under King Nebuchadnezzar II, must have been a wonder to travelers. According to accounts, he built the hanging gardens to cheer up his homesick wife Amytis. Amytis was the daughter of the king of the Medes. Where she came from, there was a green grass and mountainous plains. She found the dry, flat, sun-baked land of Mesopotamian depressing. The king wanted to recreate her homeland by building an artificial mountain with a rooftop garden. The king Nebuchadnezzar II ruled the city for 43 years starting in 605 BC. Ancient accounts say that the hanging gardens have plan. It's cultivated above ground level and the roots for the tree were embedded in the upper trance rather than in the earth. Streams of water, elevated sources flowed down sloping channels. These water irrigated the whole garden, saturating the roots of plants and keeping the whole area moist. Hence, the grass was permanently green and the leaves of trees grew firmly attached to supple branches. The temple of Artemis was so big that it took 120 years to make the temple. It's hard to believe, but it was one of the largest temples built in ancient times. The temple was built in 550 BC. Its foundation measured 377 by 40 feet. It stood in the Greek city of Ephesus, on the west coast, which we all know is Turkey. The whole temple was entirely marble except the tile-covered wooden roof. It was built as a dedication to the Greek goddess Artemis. The architects who made the temple were known as Chersiphron and his son Metagenes. This temple, however, didn't last long. In 550 BC, King Croesus of Lydia conquered Ephesus and other Greek cities of Asia Minor. During the fight, the temple was destroyed. Another temple was built in the place of the first one. The temple also had many works of art. 4 bronze statues of Amazon women are held in the temple of Artemis. The length of the temple was 425 feet and the width was 225 feet. It has a total of 127 columns, 60 feet in height, that supported the roof. Today the site of the temple is a marshy field. A single column has been erected to remind visitors that there once stood a wonder of the ancient world. In ancient times, the Greeks held one of the most important festivals, the Olympic Games, in honor of the king of their gods, Zeus. They were held in the shrine of Zeus located near the west edge of Greece, in a city called Peloponnesus. As the games became more popular, everyone felt that they needed a new, larger temple that was worthy to the king of gods. So between 470 and 460 BC, Libyan and Elise began constructing his masterpiece, the Temple of Zeus. The temple was considered one of the best examples of Doric design because of its style and the quality of the workmanship. However, it was felt that the temple was too simple to be worthy of the king of gods. So a famous sculptor named Phidias was commissioned for making a magnificent statue of Zeus. The statue of Zeus was made of ivory and gold over a wooden frame. It was 22 feet by 40 feet tall. The temple attracted visitors and worshippers from all over the world. However, after the Olympic Games were banned in 391 AD, the Temple of Zeus was closed. Earthquakes, landslides, and floods damaged the temple in the 5th century AD. The statue had been earlier transported by wealthy Greeks to a palace in Constantinople. Unfortunately, a fire of 462 AD destroyed it. Today, nothing remains of the feast of the old temple except rocks and debris, the foundation of the building and fallen columns. Then in 353 BC, Mausolus died, leaving Artemisia broken-hearted. As a tribute to him, she decided to build him a splendid tomb. Artemisia decided that no money would be spared on this wondrous tomb. She sent messengers to Greece to find the most talented artists of their time. The man who supervised the building was Scopius. The building was so beautiful and unique, it became one of the 7 ancient wonders of the world. Artemisia lived only 2 years longer than Mausolus. Both were buried in a finished temple. The tomb overlooked the city for many centuries and was untouched until 1404 BC. It was ruined for a series of earthquakes. All that could be recognized from the mausoleum was a large stone base. Today, the remains of the Great Tomb can be found in Mausoleum Room at the British Museum. Of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, only one had a practical use. In addition to its architectural elegance, the pharaohs of Alexandria. For sailors, it ensured a safe return to the great harbour. For architects, it meant even more. It was the tallest building on earth. The story of pharaohs started with the founding of the city Alexandria by the Macedonian conqueror Alexander the Great in 332 BC. Alexander died in 323 BC. The city was completed by Ptolemy Soter, the new ruler of Egypt. Under Ptolemy, the city became rich and prosperous. The city needed a mechanism to guide the trade ships into its harbour. Ptolemy started building the lighthouse in 290 BC. The lighthouse was built on the island of Pharos. It was completed in 20 years and it was the first lighthouse in the world. It was also the tallest building in the world, with the exception of the Great Pyramid. Most accounts indicate that it, like many other ancient buildings, was the victim of earthquakes. It stood for 1,500 years but was damaged by tremors in 365 and 1303 AD. Reporters indicate the final collapse came in 1326. The city was underneath by archaeological scuba divers in 1994. The Colosseum is a giant amphitheater in the center of the city of Rome. Originally capable of seating 45 to 50,000 spectators, it was used for gladiatorial contests and public spectacles. Its construction began between 70 and 72 AD under the Emperor Vespasian. The amphitheater, the largest ever built in the Roman Empire, was completed in 80 AD under Titus, with further modifications being made during the Domitian region. The Colosseum remained in use for nearly 500 years, with the latest recorded game being held there as late as the 6th century. Well, after the traditional date of the fall of Rome in 476, as well as the traditional gladiatorial games, many public spectacles were held there, such as mock sea battles, animal hunts, executions, reenactments of famous battles, and drama based on classical mythology. The building eventually ceased to be used for entertainment in the early medieval era. The Colosseum is one of the modern Rome's most popular tourist attractions, and still has close connection with the Roman Catholic Church. The Pope leads a torch-lit Way of the Cross procession to the amphitheater every Good Friday.